deficit 10 times higher than projected prior to COVID-19. How does an economy recover from that?
Well, the key is this a one-time expenditure? So there are two big asterisks to this report today. The first is that there is no wiggle room here for a second or third wave. And the other asterisk is that somehow our neighbors to the south get this thing under control. Remember, America is our largest trading partner, and if they're sick, we tend to be the one that does the sneezing. If we're going to get back to full economic prosperity, we need them to be healthy south of the border. And that's not covered in here. And I think the reason why it's not is just too hard to predict these kinds of things. If this is a one-time deficit of nearly $340 billion, we can absorb it. Yes, our total debt will cross $1 trillion, but in terms of debt to GDP, kind of our income, if you will, as a country, we can absorb it once. I don't think we can do this every year for the next 10 years. We've got to get to some kind of a new normal, and we just don't know when that's going to be.
In terms of paying down the debt, though, ultimately, does it have to involve program cuts and tax hikes? Because we had Jagmeet Singh on earlier, and he talked about how, Canada doesn't do a good enough job taxing the wealthy or closing the loopholes or finding the offshore havens. Do you agree with that?
So I'm going to say no for this reason. At the end of the Second World War, Canada's debt to GDP level was over 100%. We were nearly 125%. That's a huge number. Right now, we're approaching 50, maybe 60%. How did they deal with it? Well, it's not because they paid down debt, but they grew the economy, grew the GDP, and thus they were able to handle that debt more carefully. That's the challenge now for Minister Morneau. It isn't where do we find the money to bring down some of this debt. It is how do we just hold on to this debt and get our economy growing and get our revenues going again. And this is why he's taken that tone to say we really need to try to grow the economy, grow our way out of this rather than be austerity about it. I'm not against what Jagmeet Singh talks about here. If our people are using these tax loopholes or tax havens, sure, let's go after them. But I'm not sure there are these great big pots of gold there that everyone thinks there might be.
Interesting. How do you grow, though? How do you grow the economy in the time of a pandemic, especially as you point out, our biggest trading partner isn't doing a good job containing it?
Well, to me, there are two aspects to it. The first is we need to start working towards whatever this new normal is. Is it the same as things were in January, February, or is there a difference? And let's be clear about that and get there as quickly as we can. And then here's the other aspect. Let's sustain it. We took some very dramatic actions back in February, March in the face of COVID-19. If COVID-19, for whatever reason, starts growing in various pockets in this country, I don't think we can afford to shut down the way we did. We have to find a way to operate through that, and that might be some combination of social distancing, closing maybe certain sectors, and then again the use of masks. We didn't have that information available to us in February, March. It may be that's what we need to go forward. But we did the right thing then, but we can't afford to keep doing this every time there's a flare-up.
So many unknowns. Marvin, Ryder, appreciate your insight as always. Thank you, Professor.
Glad to be with you.